By now, you've heard the claims of what AI can do for you and your business. Yes, there's hype, but there are also proven ways that this technology is changing how businesses work. A huge area is accounting, where AI can help you make tough decisions, simplify compliance, and remove admin. That all sounds great, but you're not going to use AI if you don't trust it, especially when financial data is involved. So, what would it take for us to confidently use these types of tools when so much is at stake?
I'd really say to anybody that's anxious, that's understandable. I'm a little bit anxious about it. Things are moving at such a pace at the moment that we're all trying to keep up to date with what's coming out, how that might impact us, the pitfalls of it.
Businesses need to be cautious around data. That's obviously always been the case. But I think there's some uniqueness around AI in so much as you are dealing with another third party and you're ultimately giving it data, saying, here is my customer's data. Are you sure that's secure? You also need to be conscious of you're asking it to then create more data. How are we sure that that new data is now secure?
The number one question I get asked from all of these people, I work with big multi-billion-dollar brands, I work with small companies, I work with everything in between. Everybody asks about security. I want to use this, sounds great, the marketing has really worked. Is it safe to use?
There are more sort of nefarious groups that will use AI to access that data unlawfully. This kind of growth in AI and its abilities creates more data, creates more vulnerability around that data.
Our profession is steeped in ethics and standards, and the second that they start to diminish, the skill set and the value in the accounting profession will start to wane. I was in the profession long enough ago to remember when we didn't use computers and we had ledgers, and there was scepticism about what computers would bring in, then what accounting software would bring in. This is no different. At every stage we bring in automation and system improvements, we need to thoroughly understand what it is that's being done by that thing.
The big AI companies that are building these models, they're constantly tweaking them, constantly evolving them, and so their behavior is drifting over time. And the last thing you want in accounting is behavior that drifts over time. You want that AI to work predictably and reliably.
When somebody adopts AI in their practice, we see this all the time with the products we're building for our accountants. They're essentially outsourcing a little bit of their judgment. So the more they let AI take over things, the more of their judgment they're outsourcing. And people are only going to trust that when they know that the system that they're using isn't going to make them look foolish, isn't going to make them look biased, isn't going to make them look wrong. And so I feel like people really need to be able to say, show me how you got there. Or no, actually, I don't want to do it this way, to be able to trust AI. So it's that collaboration between humans and the AI.
If you look at where we are doing pure research and development, a big chunk of it's around AI safety. But I kind of always come back to this notion that you have to be humble when you're building AI and not underestimate the power and the impact when it goes wrong. And so you've got to have that really rich, close, tight communication with your customers along the way.
The only thing of value, I think, is the information around humans, be it their experience, be it their personal details or whatever else. That's the real value. That has to be protected. So whenever you're dealing with whatever third-party tool, be ultra mindful that this data is a precious, precious thing because it drives your business, but it's also real people's real information. And I think AI represents a potential threat to that, and is also part of the solution, but you have to prioritize it.
I'd encourage them to go and find out. Go and speak to people who are using it and can give them the assurance of the trust and confidence that they have in what they use. But I think the most important thing is not to get ahead of that. Only use what you know you can trust.
So I think as AI is used more by businesses, it'll be very important to have clear policies about how that information is used, because a lot of these companies will be using that information to train the AI. And it's really important that confidential or sensitive information isn't being used in that manner, and it's not being stored in a way that's identifiable.
AI will never be able to make jam, but there'll be someone that makes this wonderful jam that reminds everybody of their own grandma. And that is the value. It's the human connection, it's the data, and then therefore the value companies place on the protection of that proprietary data and the facilitation of human connection in order to attain that data becomes the most important thing.
When it comes to AI, trust is non-negotiable. Be vigilant in your research and make sure that the providers you're working with are keeping your data safe. In episode 2, we talk about reliability. How often does AI make mistakes? And how do we know if its outputs are accurate?